Hey guys, Jim here. It's time to finally sit down and make this video, and I've had a lot of people writing my ass to get this done, and I apologize, I haven't had a lot of time to do it, but this is the #1 most popular knife that I have put on Instagram. And the way that I judge that is, every time I've put up an action video of this on Instagram, it seems to exceed 10,000 likes, and you'll get a couple thousand comments on it. It seems like every type of person really enjoys seeing this knife, whether they're a knife collector or not. It's just really cool. It's beautiful, great finishing, and obviously well made. And that's why I bought it, and that's why I spent the ludicrous amount of money that I did to obtain it. Now, for those of you that have been following my channel for any length of time, you know that I like both Microtech production knives as well as Marfione customs. And I do still have a couple of Microtechs, and I think they're just fantastic. And I really think if you're going into purchasing an out-the-front automatic knife, you're really going to be hard-pressed to find anything any better than a Microtech. And for the money you're spending, I think you're getting the quality. Now, when you make the jump into a Marfione custom, you're obviously going to make a big jump in the amount of money that you're going to spend. And if you're trying to figure out if that's justified, you can watch any of the videos that I've done on any of Tony's knives, and you'll easily see, yes, I feel that they're worth it. And that's why I keep coming back for more. I'm on my 3rd sigil at this point. I can't stop buying these things. I think what he does is he offers something unique, and generally what he's going to offer in his customs will only be done for a limited amount of time. So when you see something drop, when you see them getting shipped to the dealers, it's usually a fairly safe bet that they're not going to last very long, and that you're not going to see them again until they pop up on the secondary market. And that's why I jumped on this. I just happened to be surfing, and I came across Monkey Edge's website to see what they were, what kind of stuff they had going on. And they had this. These had just arrived. They were brand spanking new that week. Only a couple of dealers got them at the time. And when I did my price comparisons, I found 2 dealers that had this exact same knife in stock. And there was about a $25 difference between the Monkey Edge being a couple dollars more. Now, the only reason I went with the one at Monkey Edge was this right here. If you take a good look, if I put it so where you don't have to stand on your fucking head to read it, you'll see that this one is marked serial number 1. The other one was serial number 8. Now, serial number 1 doesn't really add any more value to me, but who knows, if something ever happens and I decide I get bored with this and I want to sell it, or somebody's trying to buy it from me, they may put a little bit more value on the very first one ever offered over any other one. I don't know. It doesn't really matter that much to me. What we're looking at here is the Custom Combat Troodon. Now, the Troodon comes in 2 sizes when you look at standard production Microtechs. I do not own a Troodon, so I can't really help you with that. But what I will say is the Troodon is not really too much different in size from the Ultratech that you see here. When you look at a Troodon, you've got just under an 8-inch overall knife. The blade length is 3 inches. When you get into the Combat Troodon is going to be 9.5 inches with a blade of 3.8 inches. So it is significantly larger. And I wouldn't have cared really which way it went if this would have been a Troodon or Combat Troodon. I was buying it for the finish work and the blade work. And we'll get to that in a moment. For those that don't know, Troodon was a small dinosaur that had a retractable sickle-shaped claw on each of his front feet, and had serrated style teeth. So I'm assuming that's why Tony named the Troodon that, because it really kind of works with an out-the-front retractable blade, yada, 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 yada. So let's take a look at what makes this one so special. Instead of having a standard matte-finished aluminum frame like we have here on the Halo 5, that's what you're going to see typically on the production Microtechs. This has a very finely satin finished aluminum body. It feels a bit heavier than many of the other Microtechs that I've had. I do not know if this is a different grade of aluminum from the standard or not, so I'm not going to make any assumptions there. I love this because of that satin finish. Everything's blacked out. And then all the hardware is done in titanium and very, very richly blued. And that includes the glass breaker right back here, which has the ceramic ball at the end. And they even did it on the edges of the firing switch, which I thought was really a neat touch. So you've got the 3 dots there, pretty damn cool. But to do it all up and down the ramp, I thought was a really interesting touch. And then the other big reason for me wanting to get my hands on this one was the Recurve blade, full mirror polish with the satin flats, and black DLC. That combination for me sold me. I think that is probably one of the most beautiful and well executed out the front knives in existence, period. Absolutely amazing. One of the other interesting things that I did not know until I got it is just at the tip, the top side swedge is actually fully sharpened from here to here. So you've got just about an inch right there that's fully sharpened, and that means it's going to be a really, really great piercer. The action, as you would expect, is fantastic. And to answer a question that I get almost, actually not almost, but every single time I post this knife, no, I am not afraid of this knife firing in my pocket. You need such a tremendous amount of pressure and constant pressure on that switch to get it to fire that there is absolutely no way humanly possible that this could fire in your pocket. Even if somehow, some way, as you were pulling it out of your pocket, something snagged it, which I don't see how it would, it takes, I mean, look at this. It takes a lot of pressure. Now, I don't have a way to really measure that, but I'd say that's probably about 12 to 13 pounds of pressure that's required to get it to spring out or retract. There's no safety concern there whatsoever. On the Ultratech, it's a little bit lighter. This, by the way, is the Sith Lord. One of these days I will do a video on it because this one's actually kind of special. This is the only one that exists. Tony has one, and then I have this one that aren't double-edged. So if you've seen the Sith Lord and you find one available, get it. Pretty damn cool. Nice little Star Wars tribute there. And obviously with the Halo 5 being a single action, you don't really have that. What you have is a button that's recessed that's not going to fire anyway until you push it well within the body. And that still is the most impressive when it comes to actually firing it. The sound and the feeling as that comes ripping out is incredible. And one day I am going to pony up and buy a Marfione custom version of the Halo 5. But here's the thing, here's why I've waited so long to do that. I know that if I spend the big bucks to buy a Marfione custom like this Sigil or the DOC or whatever else, a standard knife, solid folder, flipper, whatever, I know that it's pretty much going to hold its value. Out the front knives, made by anyone, I mean, you could go all the way up into Jeff Harkins and things like that, generally do not hold their value no matter who makes it. And here's why. Because so few people can legally own and or carry an automatic knife that you have a much more limited audience that you're able to then resell to. And when it comes to that, people for whatever reason tend to put less value on an out the front knife than any other kind of knife, and I'm not really sure why. So when I bought this from Monkey Edge, I did have to, you know, sit there and think to myself, I'm going to spend $1,450 on this, and I know that if I don't like it when it arrives and I have to resell it, I'm probably going to lose $300-400 on it. I've watched guys sell some beautiful custom out the front knives and lose hundreds and hundreds of dollars on them. That's just the way it is. Luckily, when I got it, it was everything I wanted it to be and more. The only complaint I really have about this knife is the size of it. And you guys know I'll carry a big knife, it doesn't bother me. But because of the shape of this knife and the size of it, sometimes you notice that you're carrying it in your pocket when you're sitting. Not all the time, and not with every pair of pants, but sometimes. And that's not really a complaint. That's just me saying that's just the way it is. But I love carrying this thing. And the coolest thing about it is when you pull this out, even non-knife people go, holy shit, what is that? And that's a lot of fun. It really is a lot of fun to wow people with something that you own. I don't care what it is, whether it's a knife, your car, your wife, your girlfriend. That's always fun, right? It's always fun to get somebody's immediate wow reaction to something that you've got. This is not going to be a hard use knife for me. I'll be perfectly honest. This is something that I really enjoy carrying. It has cut a couple of things, but because it is the mirror finish blade, I'm not going to go, I don't know, stomping through the woods and hack into shit. I'm not going to be cutting hemp rope with it and stuff like that. Number one, that's really not what it's intended for. Number two, it's got a beautiful blade that you really don't want to mark up. I want to go out and be rough and tough. I'll take the Halo, or I'll take the Sith Lord. And those are great for that. I don't really have to worry about those. A, they're more of a user finish, and B, they're fairly inexpensive in comparison, and probably going to be easier to replace should I do something stupid. This, I have no idea how many Tony did in this exact configuration. There's another version that does not have the recurve blade that I've seen that has his compound grind, and there's a Tanto version. So there are 3 versions that I know of, and then they have different finishes. For me, it had to be all of these. I wanted that recurve blade, which I think is sexy as shit. I mean, just look at that. Woo! And that takes a typical argument against out the fronts out of the way. Oh, that's not a useful blade shape. Listen, most out the fronts don't have the most useful blade shape. I've got a nice, beautiful recurve here that gives me a lot of belly right here. So yeah, if I do need to cut something, I've got a nice belly to do that with. If I'm slicing into something and I bring it up into here, all of a sudden that blade goes deeper as I pull across it. And like I mentioned before, it's a good stabber because of that sharpened edge right there. So to me, this was worth it in every way. But I wanted to have the recurve, I wanted to have the black DLC, and it just worked out perfectly. I'm a big fan of how the blue contrasts against all that black. It's subtle, but it's sexy. It looks damn good. Now on the same order, I actually ended up ordering this, my 3rd sigil, and again, for the same reason, I really liked the pop of blue. I don't like the versions they do where the lock bar or the clip are done in that tiger stripe flame pattern. I really, really don't like it. It's disruptive to the overall aesthetic of the look. This I thought was really, really clean and beautiful, and yeah, it ended up making the order really expensive because these were, oh gosh, see, this was $14.50, this was $13.50. So because you've got the hand rub satin blade, they were $16.50 for the full mirror polish blade, and then I think somewhere around $11.50 for a stonewash blade. And I really liked this combination. I found that with my mirror polish sigil on the engraved dragon, again, I was going to baby it more because it was a mirror polish blade. I didn't want to have it refinished every few years or buffed out every few years. With the hand rub satin blade, I'm going to be much more apt to use it. So I definitely didn't mind spending the extra money to get that into my collection. So I was kind of on a blue kick on that particular week. I've been enjoying the shit out of this thing. It's a lot of fun. No out the front knife is going to be completely practical. That's the way it is. And not everybody is going to get the joy of owning one. Years ago, when I lived in Minnesota, the law there was you could own an automatic knife, but you could not carry it, which really makes no fucking sense whatsoever. So I had a few automatics, but I'm the kind, I'm not going to break the law. I never did carry them. There were a couple times I took them to work and I put them in a zippered pouch and I put them in the glove box and then I transported it from there into the building. But I never would clip it in my pocket and carry it because I knew as much as I get pulled over for speeding, I wouldn't want that cop going, hey, have any weapons on you? And I pull out something that I know is clearly illegal. But now that I live in Texas, we can carry stuff like this. It just can't be a double-edged knife, and that's why when Tony did these, I asked him specifically to make a single-edge version for me because I wanted to be able to carry it. And if it was a a double edge, I was not going to be able to carry it. So again, Tony, thank you for making that exception for me. Now this kind of puts me into a bit of a gray area. I don't know if law enforcement would consider this to be a double edge because you don't have a double edge running the entire length of the blade. It's only sharpened here at the tip. I don't know. Kind of a gray area, and I'm probably risking it by doing it, but when you got something this beautiful, and you paid that much damn money for it, you damn well should carry it and enjoy it. The fit and finish on this thing really is fantastic. I'll be honest, there are times when you'll get your hands on a Marfione custom and you think to yourself, is it really that much different than the production Microtech that I should spend this much money? And in some cases it's not. Sometimes it will be the exact same knife as the production knife in the handle, in the finishing and everything else, and it may just be that Tony hand ground the blade. While that is certainly worth more money to me, it's generally not worth an extra, I don't know, $800 to $1,000 for me personally. To some people it will be, just to have the collector value, and I get that. And that's why I've hesitated so much on getting the Halo 5. But there have been some really nice versions done with carbon fiber around the firing button and stuff like that that would make it worth it. The other reason I'm hesitating is, I don't know if you guys are all aware, but Tony has sons that also make knives. And one of his sons owns Heretic Knives, and he's actually got me down for a customized, beautiful custom Hydra. The Hydra, basically, it's a single action out the front like the Halo series. It's smaller than the Halo 5, and it has a pocket clip. So maybe when I get that, whenever that time does come, I may not feel the need for a custom Halo 5 because now I've got something that functions similarly and is able to be carried in the pocket. So only time will tell on that. But with this, yeah, oh man, to me, 100% worth it. And the joy that I get when I see somebody else's face, when I pull it out and they see that blade, and I post it up on Instagram, and I hear people's reactions like, holy shit, that thing is just sexy as hell. To me, it's worth it. To know that if I do need to use it, I've got a hell of a sharp blade, I've got a good, solid, well-built knife that Tony will stand behind. It makes it worth it. But I'll be perfectly honest, for the majority of people, over $1,400 for an out-the-front automatic that they may or may not be able to ever carry in their lifetime, it just may not be worth it. If you feel like getting into an out-the-front automatic just to have fun with it, grab yourself one of the Ultratechs. I think the Ultratech is still probably the best size that they've ever made. If you want something a little bit bigger and a little bit more of a show-off piece, get yourself one of the Halos. Halo 5 is the current. They're the ones you're going to find more easily. But I've been seeing some Halo 4s. I don't know from where. There must have been a vault of them somewhere that got released. I've been seeing them pop up online a lot lately as well. But when it comes down to it, if you don't want to spend a tremendous amount of money, but you want a good premium product, Microtech stuff is awesome, as always. If you want something that's a lot more special, that not everybody is going to have in their pocket or may not have even seen, get yourself into a Marfione custom. It's always going to be something radical, and it's going to be something unique and something special. That's it for me on this one, guys. I've got to move on and get some more stuff done. I've gotten a lot of knives lately, and again, guys are busting my balls because I took a few weeks off and made no videos, so it's time to make up for that shit right here, right now.